Christopher Kai at the Presidential Suite at the Rio. Now Chris here has the #1 book on Amazon as an Amazon bestseller. I love this topic of this book. It's called Big Game Hunting because the topic of this book is about networking with business, millionaires, billionaires, celebrities, and executives. And he's an expert in that. Now I've interviewed guys like Harvey McKay and other people that are experts in networking. But the thing about you, which is really unique, is that you're actually coaching businesses from the standpoint of having worked in the Fortune 500 world. You used to work for American Express, you worked with a lot of other companies, and you've been focusing on giving. And you have all sorts of really interesting and unique secrets in this book for not just people that are in the business world as executives or millionaires and billionaires. The millionaires and billionaires, we network with other millionaires and billionaires, but what about the average guy?
Exactly.
And so what you did is you created a book that is geared towards helping the average person be able to accomplish the same thing. I remember like one of the things that you wrote about was how you're able to network so that you get to attend events that are even $20,000 or more. Events that I might pay for, but you're able to do that for free. How are you able to do that? And like, tell us a little bit about the book, like how you created the book.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with very modest means. My mom was a school teacher, my dad was a case manager. And so I literally dedicated my book for anyone who's ever felt like an outsider. So at the core, it's like, we've all heard the phrase, you gotta work the room, Nick, we gotta work the room. I'm like, no, if you're in the wrong room, it's a waste of time. So how do you find the right rooms? So we don't research enough. When we get to an event, we don't actually approach, and afterwards we never follow up. So most people that go to these events, first they don't even know that, let's say right now, CGI, which is the Clinton Globe Initiative annual meeting, President Clinton's former conference, which is actually in the media right now, they do a lot of good, even though the media doesn't say that, right? It costs $20,000. I've helped my clients get in there for free. Milken Conference costs $12,500, but it's all about understanding, some of them need volunteers, some of them you get on a press pass, but the core is people don't really aim very low. Michelangelo once said that the greatest danger that most of us have is not aiming high and missing it, but aiming too low and reaching it. So my core is about encouraging business owners, everyone to aim higher in their life, business, and community, because if you know that all of life is about relationships. Literally, you're looking through my book, you're like, oh my God, I know Elon Musk's brother, and you got him to the shelter. I know Chris DeWolf, who co-founded MySpace. Like, it's not a coincidence that the people on the top, they all know each other. Unfortunately, they don't need to network because they're all in the same rooms. The room that Elon Musk was in, it was a Sean Penn event where he's raised $6 million in one night. Oh, surprise, surprise, Oliver Stone is there and Anderson Cooper is there, right? But at the core, I want to encourage your audience to aim high, be specific. Don't focus on working the room because that's working hard. Working smart is finding the right rooms by researching. Knowing that if you look on their website, you can actually see, sometimes they actually say, hey, 25% of the people are C-level executives, 30% actually make $100,000 or higher. So spend the time to research, because if you walk into a room and you don't know who's there, you've already wasted your time. In my case, for instance, a lot of realtors are my clients. So if I walk into a realtor room, then that's 100% probability that I can meet my clients who buy my programs, who buy my book, which, by the way, my website is christopherkai.com, last name's spelled K-A-I. But that's 100% probability that I can succeed. Whereas most people I meet, they're like, well, Chris, what rooms am I going to go into? Or they're not willing to invest. For instance, Dr. Patrick Soon-Chong, he's the wealthiest guy in LA. Him and Elon Musk are always back to back. He's worth about $13 billion. He actually owns parts of the Lakers. You can meet him for $300 in 2 months. Not a lot of money, but most people are like, well, I don't have $300. Well, you're not going to meet billionaires. You're not going to meet millionaires. You're not going to meet people more successful than you. So it's not about, success isn't about who you know. It's about who you want to know.
I know that the value of mentors and having a mastermind group has massively helped me. And it was kind of cool when I picked up this book. I was just going through it and I was like, wow, you know so many of the same people I know. I value myself as having one of the largest Rolodexes on the planet. I've spent well over $1 million attending mastermind groups. But I've also have a history of doing some of the things that you've done. Like I volunteered for political presidential campaign fundraiser dinners and network. I got to meet congressmen and senators and governors. I was able to build some relationships. Some of those relationships led me to running for state senates in the state of Wisconsin. It allowed me to attend national conventions and parties where I made friends where I was able to develop business relationships with. Now, what are some of the things that you're using these networking skills to do for yourself? Or are you using it to build your consulting business or connect your friends?
It's three things, right? Like personally, like when you go to like CGI and you see like Richard Branson and Bill Gates, right? So purely just from an inspirational standpoint, if you want to be inspired, don't watch the news. The news is about terrorism, cheating, defeating polarity, disparity in politics, right? You look at Bill Gates, he's literally eradicating polio. There's only 2 countries left. So from a personal standpoint, be inspired. Professionally, I've been able to secure clients that I never could have imagined that I can like make $70,000 years ago on one client, right? So from a professional standpoint, it's aiming higher. And lastly, philanthropically, you don't need a lot of money to give back. I started the only homeless youth program of its kind in the world where we teach career life skills with $0. So it's not just, oh yeah, I want to network to do good and make a lot of money. It's like, no, it's so inspiring. You inform yourself, you can change the world, and you can actually meet people that you can actually inspire to meet other people that can, you can volunteer. So I stress the volunteer work because there's 1.5 million nonprofits in the country. We all talk about how, oh, when I make money, I'm going to give back. Oh, when I'm married, I'm going to give back. No, like you can give back now. If you actually devote 1 hour of your time, literally it's 0.6% of your time in the week. We have 168 hours in a week. If you devote 1% of your time, you literally can change the world. So it's not just about business, which people always stress about networking because they see, wow, Chris wrote a book about networking with billionaires. Yeah, cool, right? It sounds like a catchy title, but if you read the book, it's about how can you use that money, that foundation, that power to give back in the world, because that's what all the successful people like Elon Musk do.
I was asking one of my mentors. He has a company that's generated $2 billion. It's called Arbitech, and he was Entrepreneur Magazine's Entrepreneur of the Year. One of the guys on his board is the president and founder of the Ronald McDonald Foundation. So I was asking them, why do you give away millions of dollars every year? And he was telling me, Nick, it's profitable. Because not only are you helping people and you're contributing to a great cause, you also are networking with other people.
Absolutely,
you're benefiting all these other charities, and you're also like helping the reputation of your business as well. Now, I myself was an Eagle Scout. I donated thousands of hours just to random charities. Now I don't have the luxury of being able to do that. It's a lot of fun. It's like what Siku Andrews calls the currency of purpose. It's kind of like if you do a job like you're a teacher. One of the benefits of your job is that you get so much pleasure from helping others. And so you're making a lot less money, but if you were to take that element away, that pleasure you get, it's like you had a massive pay cut.
Yeah.
Now, I'm more likely to donate money now than volunteer my time. Tonight I donated $25,000 for the Unite for Good campaign that Bill Walsh is hosting. I'm going to attend their events and stuff like that. But I also attend charity events all the time, golf events, networking events, and have it. And I do it also not just because I support the charity, because I do care about the charities, and the main reason why I donated for Unite for Good is because they're going to donate not just to one charity, but the charities of my choice. And I care about charities that help small animals, especially one that helped save the life of my cat.
Oh, wow.
It had a terminal disease and it got cured. But I guess what I'm interested in is also how other people use giving as a form of networking. And also the curiosity I found is what are you doing in terms of giving and also interacting with these successful people that makes you different from everyone else?
Well, so again, I hear a lot of business people talking about doing good, but look at where they spend their time, right? So Larry Ellison, okay, no disrespect for Larry, but he buys 10 houses on Billionaire Row in Malibu worth a few $100 million. He can do what he wants with his money, right? But how phenomenal would he be if he spent that money on charity work, right? But for people that want to network at the highest levels, charity functions are one of the best ways because there's 1.5 million nonprofits, but if you go to a Sean Penn event which costs $5,000, or to Art of Elysium where Johnny Depp was, right? You can volunteer for the galas especially, or the AmFAR. There's certain charities that cater more to the high end that not only can you do good, you can meet the people like Leonardo DiCaprio. He raised over $30 million in Saint-Tropez for his charity every year because he's very passionate about environmental stuff, right? So I just encourage people to give back because not only do you do good, you can actually do good for yourself. And even my own personal example, when I started this homeless youth program, I never expected the fact that I could bring Elon Musk there and Nolan Bushnell founded Atari, and I actually secured the shelter as a client, where I published a book for them, and I secured a client that makes $100 million a year. So I didn't know at the time. So my intention was to do good for the world, for these kids that need it most, but surprise, surprise, that's how karma works, right? You do good, you give of service, And I didn't know that, wow, this is an amazing networking opportunity, but I didn't plan it to be that way. Now that I know that, I'm like, hey, give back, be strategic, because why wouldn't you want to give back and do good for yourself? There's nothing wrong with being in the same room with people that are like very influential, as long as you're not doing it just for that.
Well, that's one of the things that a lot of people will ask me. They'll ask me, look, I'm just an average guy. How do I give value?
But see, that's the thing. Them just saying they're average is already something they have to erase from their script. So for instance, I talk about Richard Branson. He tweets one time that whoever is the first person to donate $2,000 to my charity, I'm going to invite you to a private mansion party in Miami. This young woman named Stacey Ferreira, she's 18 years old at the time, she says, Mr. Branson, I'm not old enough to drink yet, but I want to support your charity. So she literally convinces her mom and dad, her and her brother go to Miami, meet Richard Branson. Richard Branson ends up investing $400,000 in a company. So the first question and the first advice I would give to anyone is like, first of all, you can't place your value on anything external. So whenever I meet people, they say, well, what value do I bring to a billionaire? It's not even that, it's what value do you have in yourself? Because if you have value in yourself, I don't care how powerful, how famous, how much money a person has. If I have value in myself and you have value in yourself, you're going to anyone, anywhere, at any time. So that's the first thing I teach. It goes beyond what's out there. It's about if you believe in yourself, you can talk to anyone in the world, because if you have that purpose, it doesn't matter who they are.
So I think a lot of the mindsets that you're talking about in terms of inner game, developing the inner belief, is definitely a core. I guess in terms of outer game, what's the next step? Like, what do you talk about? How are you offering value or engaging or hooking them into wanting to talk to you further?
So it's funny because you're in the dating world, right? So it's not a surprise that I give workshops and I have all these dating coaches coming to my workshops trying to get some techniques, right? And at the core, it's that people want to feel loved, cared for, listened to. So the Chinese character for listen, there's various parts, but the three core parts are you listen not just with your ears, but with your eyes and with your heart. Now it might sound kind of like cheesy and like, oh my God, I'm a guy saying that, but no man will ever be a good boyfriend, husband, or father if they don't have a sensitive side to them. So the more important thing is like, how do they build rapport and listen to their interests and their relationships? What do most of us do? Yap, 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 yap. What they should be doing is shutting the hell up and asking questions like, hey Nick, who's the one person you most enjoy spending your time with? How would you answer that?
My wife.
Exactly. And you know what happens? There are 4 specific chemicals that are going on right now physiologically. Dopamine, oxytocin, endorphins, and serotonin. When I talk about your interests and your relationships, your face completely lights up, right? So literally, right?
I guess it did.
Yeah. And you don't even know that, but if I were to walk away and I didn't tell you that, you'd be like, man, Chris is the coolest guy in the world, but all I'm doing is mirroring you and focusing on your physiological change. When I say, what's your wife's name?
Amber.
Amber. So what are the things that you love doing with Amber?
Golf, food, tastings, travel, hanging out with cats, video games.
See? But all these things, if I kept diving deeper and deeper, like, oh my God, tell me more about the golf game. Where were you, in Pebble Beach?
Yeah.
Were you 17-mile course?
Yeah, it's awesome. Love it.
You got little bunny rabbits walking around, little deers, right?
One of my favorite courses to play at.
But see, like if the camera sees this, you're literally, your face is lighting up. Right? See? Yeah, 4 chemicals. It's not a surprise.
Good time.
Happy chemicals.
Yeah.
Not a surprise that when you're also fornicating, dopamine, oxytocin, endorphin, serotonin. It's not a coincidence.
Yeah. I'm planning a trip to go to Pebble right now with my close friends. That's another thing I use for networking, trips and vacations. Now, you're somebody who I imagine goes to a lot of business events and retreats and what have you, because you know, I mean, I go to a lot of business events and you know almost everyone I know. And I know a lot of people. I think that's pretty amazing. What are some of the ways that you choose to go to business events, and like what are some of your favorite events that you love going to?
Well, again, since I see myself as a global leader, going to the Milken conferences, going to Patrick's event where he has an Innovations Award where he calls the Oscar for Geeks, like going to places where people are doing amazing things. And the thing is, like when people look at this book and say, oh my God, billionaires, Chris, like what is that about? I'm like, look, through across history, Mother Teresa, Dr. King, Gandhi, Mandela, none of them would be who they are if you didn't have capitalistic media press people profiling them. So people don't understand that it's symbiotic. So I just know that if you don't have the money and the capital, you can't change the world. And so I go to the events where people are changing the world, like a Clinton or a Gates or a Bush, because that's where I see myself. Like, they don't know me yet. Some of them do, but at the core, if I meet Elon Musk and convince him, literally one of the hardest guys to meet in the world, to come to the worst part of town where he changes his schedule around and to actually talk to him for half an hour. It wasn't just a photo op. To talk to a man that literally go down in history as one of the most inspiring people in the world, kind of cool, right?
Yeah, and I have a huge amount of respect for him. What are some of the most memorable conversations that you have in terms of like the people that are in this book that you think would really be inspiring to the people who are viewing this video?
Well, Elon Musk, for instance, right? Again, he's one of the most humble guys I've ever met in my life. He's not braggadocious, he's not really arrogant. He actually admitted to my students that are at the shelter, he literally said, I had 5 companies and all of them were all on the brink of failure. In 2008, he was literally almost nervous breakdown. He got bullied. If anyone reads his book, now I know why when I asked him, what do you encourage my students to do if they get bullied? And you know what Elon Musk said?
What did he say?
He said, he thought for a moment, he's like, run or hide. I'm like, so if my students are getting beat up, your suggestion is run or hide. And he's like, yes. Because he's so cerebral. But the story is, like, this guy is so humble. He's not like this Donald Trump kind of guy. He's like, yeah, I'm so amazing. And yet he's changing the world, literally and figuratively. So if Elon Musk can be that inspiring and humble, it's inspiring. And one last thing is, like, we always take a picture of our students with our special guests, right? We had him sit down. I said, Elon, please sit. He didn't sit until I sat. And that little tiny thing, those little nuances, that tells you that his mom, Musk, taught him well as a man, as a person of culture. When I say, hey, Elon, please sit, he didn't sit yet. He waited till I sat, we sat together. Like those little tiny nuances, you can tell that this man is raised well, is a level of respect. And so with people that are listening to this, whether they're Elon Musk or literally a person that's homeless, which I've met all of them, be respectful, listen to their story, and know that if you want to change the world, if you want to build your business or your personal life or philanthropically, you have to listen and you have to give and serve their interests.
I want to meet Elon. I know his brother. I met him at Tony's place, and that's another guy who I view as very humble. And he lives in a trailer park. Really, he actually lives in a trailer park. Now there's 30 trailers, and it's kind of like a 30-bedroom house. But it's just a trailer. You know, you go in there. There's like a desk, a table, a kitchen, and a bed, and a bathroom. And then he has something unique about it. He wanted to recreate the Burning Man experience, so he has some. Have you been to his place yet?
I have not.
So there's like roaming llamas, and every other week he has a party. If you come down, I'll bring you with me. You know, it's like every other Sunday. So roaming llamas, but he has a stage. On the stage, people just put their like business card or name.
Life is beautiful. It's going on tomorrow, right?
That's another event.
Okay.
Like last year we were hanging out with him, and he was giving us like a behind-the-scenes tour of everything. It was really cool. I invited my parents, my wife,
and Amber, right?
Yeah, Amber, and it was a lot of fun. We got addicted to our new favorite musician, which is Lindsey Stirling, because we love. I used to play violins. I love to have actually got violin music and EDM and the same thing. But yeah, it's just really cool, and he likes hanging out, not necessarily with the richest people, but people who are unique, people who have that unique business mind is one thing, but you just want to hang with weirdos, people like myself.
That's a story, because
people
again,
who are just in it for being cool, or art, or expression.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, at the core, right? Once you reach a certain level of financial success, you realize that you can't take that with you, so you want to have fun. Like Bill Walsh, he's like, if you're not fun, I'm done, right? So it's all about like having fun, but also giving back. And those like Tony or Elon, they know that, okay, fine, you can make all the money in the world, but I'm sure you can attest to this statement that I have met some of the richest, loneliest, saddest people in the world because they only focus on the money. They have no strong relationships, they have no cause, they live in this massive mansion with all these playmates, but they're bored, they're unhappy, they're always looking for something.
Who are the typical people that you're coaching, and like what are you coaching them on?
So at the core right now, I coach primarily realtors, online marketers, any small business owners, wealth managers, because they all want to grow the business, but I help them grow it, scaling the company with more affluent clients. So instead of focusing on $10,000 client, why not 100,000, a million, or 10 million? So it's really about helping them find the events, helping them build rapport, and helping them follow up.
And most of it sounds like, in terms of like, is it about goal setting, accountability, follow up, or is it about networking and like the key, like
it's really that phrase before. It's like working in the room is a waste of time if you're in the wrong room. So the first thing is really, I actually map out my whole year. I know where I'm going throughout my year. So what do most people do? Oh, I'll go to an event because it's free, it's convenient, and my friend tells you, but that's a waste of time if you don't know who is in the room. So I'm always giving them very strategic things to say, look, who is your clientele, what can you offer them, and how can you bring value to their life, and keep following up and following up and following up. If you do that, you're going to do amazing in business and have a system to actually track that.
That's exactly what I used to do in my dating life and also my promoting life when I was running parties. Had a mass list of texts and I would just continue following through. Now in the business world, I do the same thing. There's so many parallels between the dating life and business life.
It is.
And I mean, you know, because you'll meet some of our guys out while you're out into the field and you'll see a lot of our guys and they'll walk up to you and you're networking with people.
Literally, yeah.
And you know, I think a lot of the networking parallels. One of the things that we did was for one of the founders of Summit Series, his father owns a very successful real estate company. Yeah, Elliot. So I used to crash at his house of his dad, and his dad has a company called BizNow. And what he wanted us was to practice the core approach skills to get guys to walk up to people that are multinational CEOs in the real estate industry at real estate conventions, and then get their interest, hook their interest in getting to know them better, invite them out for drinks at the Ritz-Carlton another day, and then at that time they would pitch them on an advertising contract.
Yeah.
And it's the same kind of skills and process for pickup.
Same skills.
So I've been building out this new YouTube channel. I mean, it's only 3-4 months old right now. I mean, I created earlier this year, I think in June of 2016 when I launched the program. But I wanted to transition some of the skills we teach in terms of RSD and show how the pickup skills relate to the business world.
Absolutely. It's like literally, it works in the boardroom and the bedroom. You know, it's like, it really does work in the boardroom and bedroom because again, what does a woman or man want? Again, it's about respect, it's about the commonality because too many men, like they have these things in their heads like, okay, I like that girl, and they get scared, but the same way when you meet a billionaire or a millionaire, it's the same thing, but it's that fear of rejection. If you push away that fear and you keep doing it over and over and over again, what am I going to lose? If I walk up to 5 Victoria's Secret models, I'm like, hi, how are you? If they're not friendly, I'm like, whatever, it's their loss. But most people are like, oh my gosh, I can't walk up, they're so beautiful, just like an Elon Musk. What do most people do? Elon, you're amazing. And they immediately become a groupie. I'm not a groupie, I'm just contemporary. We don't see that way.
I mean, so many of the people that I'll meet, like I'll know some of them will actually be at the event even before I'm there. Other times I'll network with other people, but I also know the idea that you're thinking about, knowing who's in the room. So let's say you know particular people in the room. Like, how do you decide how to approach them, or what's your idea? Are you just there to like build rapport, or do you have a certain idea in mind?
Yeah, it depends on the amount of time, but if it's really high-profile people, I have something called CALF, C-A-L-F. Compliment them. Hey, Elon, you did a great job at your speech. He says, thank you. Ask for their contact information. L is leave, and F is follow up. So CALF, C-A-L-F. If it's a really, really high-profile person, compliment them. Say, hey, that's a nice, polo shirt you have on. Ask them a question. Get their contact information. Don't bother giving them your business cards. Leave, and then follow up.
I'm curious about you because you made your book a #1 Amazon bestseller. So how did you do that?
It went from rank 400 to #1 in 4 days. The how is you got to buy my program.
A lot of people are always asking about, for me, like the dating life. Like, how do you interact as a celebrity in the dating life, and how to maximize that, and how do you date other celebrities? I guess my final question and thought to you would be what about doing business with celebrities? Like, how do you treat that as different?
See, celebrities are probably the most challenging demographic to work with because everyone wants them. So literally, I met Scooter Braun, who's Justin Bieber's manager. Discovered Justin Bieber, right? And Scooter Braun has an assistant, and the assistant has an assistant, right? So with celebrities, unless you really know their core manager or their momager or their agent or their publicist, but the closest person to them, it's really hard because everyone wants their time. The thing is, if you're working with celebrities, just make sure you focus on their charities. If let's say Alicia Keys has a charity that she focuses on kids, or Charlize Theron is very active in the AIDS community in South Africa, the best way for you to approach a celebrity is to go through the nonprofit. Because no matter how famous they are, no matter how much money they have, like Richard Branson, they all want more money and exposure for their charities. So I would highly encourage people that if they want to do business with celebrities, get to know them first because they're so easily approached by, oh, can you please come here? Like, look, help them, serve them first, and then figure out how to do business with them later on.
Yeah, I could totally agree. I mean, I know a lot of people, even just who want to hang out with me, will befriend all of my friends, and now I'm kind of forced to hang out with them.
You're never forced.
No, not forced.
You have Amber by your side now.
But I mean, I actually still like them, but the thing is, because I'm never watching this video, no, I actually do like them, though, because I think that if they're my friends, then I'm probably going to want to hang out with them anyway. But I mean, I think that's really true. I know that a lot of people, you have to befriend like the handlers of the people as opposed to that.
Just think long term. I have a chapter in my book called Nurture 10-Year Relationships. I don't want people, my clients, actually have a 10-year sales cycle, but the core is you have to think long term, because if you think short term, they see you as transactional as opposed to transformational.
Awesome. Well, thanks for the interview, bro. This has been a lot of fun. Cheers.
Thanks,
If you enjoyed the video today, check out ChristopherKai.com. You can just click on the link below in the description. Also, subscribe to my channel. Write your comments below. Tell me what you liked, and I'd love to see you watch our future videos. Tell me about what you're interested in hearing about, potential people you want me to interview. We'll get to them. Cheers.